and welcome to a brand new episode of the Rust Africa Spotlight series, where we highlight the change makers and African voices making exceptional impacts in the Rust ecosystem. I'm your host, Daniela, and with me today is Stephen, founder of Zerocore AI. Stephen, it's lovely to have you here with us today. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you. So we're going to be going straight right into it. But could you briefly introduce yourself, tell us where you're from and what you do currently?
All right. So my name is Stephen Akinyemi. I'm the founder of Zerocore AI, and I'm from Lagos, Nigeria. And currently, I'm just tinkering with AI agents and trying to create a product out of them. That's it.
Okay, thank you so much. So, how did you first come across the Rust programming language?
I think I came across Rust when I was working on a programming language then. The name
Mm-hmm.
was Pro. So I was just very interested in like having African developers also have their own programming language. So as I was looking around, I was looking around for inspiration, and I found out about Rust. And at that point, it was very complex. I didn't really understand a lot of things about it. So I was like, yeah, maybe I'll revisit this in future. So the language I was working on got inspired by a lot of the dynamic languages we have today, like Julia, Python, because those were easier for me to digest back then. But
Okay.
eventually, I had to revisit Rust when I was, because I'm building a programming language. It made sense for me to compile the language to WebAssembly, and
Mm.
and when you do WebAssembly stuff, you easily get into Rust. So in working with WebAssembly, I had to deal with Rust. I had to um, at some point work on a WebAssembly runtime. Um, the name of the runtime is Wasma, is a popular WebAssembly runtime. And
Yes.
in working on that project, I had to learn Rust very, very fast. Yeah.
Wow. Wow. That's awesome. Okay, so you've already talked about what motivated you to learn Rust. So now that you've been using Rust for a while, what do you actually love the most about it?
Well, the cool things about Rust is I think the memory safety has to come first. The
Mm-hmm.
type safety fact that um, once things are running, you can be pretty confident that apart from certain class of bugs, but type bugs are just not a problem. And this is coming from someone that was writing Python heavily, and the problems that you find with Python is that things can just break in production because of some oversights. So type system of Rust is just fits my brain very well because it fixes, it lets you not worry about a certain class of bugs. And another thing
Yeah.
is the memory safety, because I've also worked with C++ in the past. I've been beaten very hard, um, you know, trying to work with pointers and stuff. And when I started using Rust, I was just like, man, this is how C++ should have been right from the start. And I just moved to C++. I feel like it's torture at this point. Yeah.
Wow. Okay, I like that. So you talked about how it's like Rust scratches your brain a bit. So what features or principles resonate with your personal coding philosophy?
So the thing about Rust is that Rust just it lets you go through the tough process of like thinking about what you're trying to build before you
Mm-hmm.
actually start. Um, or even while you're building it, you're just thinking every single moment how because the compiler just complains a lot about different stuff. And I kind of, so some people think it's crazy that you know the compiler complains so much, but I feel like it's just holding my hands, guiding me through. And the compiler error messages and warnings are so great. It tells you exactly where something is wrong. And yeah, so Rust just generally feels like something that helps you develop like a true professional developer, because you get to think about different aspects of your systems.
Mm.
Thinking like the type system itself really lets you think about your project very deeply, which is something you don't like sometimes, like when you're prototyping in Python, you don't have to think about it, you just write. But with Rust, you have to think. And in thinking about different systems and how they play together, I think leads to better production software at the end of the day. Yeah,
Mm. Yeah, I like that. The compiler is your friend, not your enemy.
yeah,
Take
pretty
note,
much.
guys. Take note, guys. So tell us more about your project, Microsandbox.
Awesome. I thought you'd never
Yeah.
ask. So Microsandbox started as I already mentioned that I tinker with AI agents. So I've been working
Mm.
with AI agents since as far back as last year, and
Okay.
so I quickly realized one problem. So before this whole AI agent thing, I've always been doing sandboxing related work. So I've worked with WebAssembly, which is a way of kind of like containing your program. You can compile your program to WebAssembly, and you cannot do anything outside, that containment within the WebAssembly runtime unless you're using like certain runtimes that allow you to have access to system level stuff. Um, and also, I worked on isolates. These were times when I was trying to build some a particular product to allow people to just run anything. And last year, when I was working on AI agents, I quickly realized that I need a place for these AI agents to write whatever, like Cloud Code that we have today.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Cloud Code can write to your system, can do anything, but you need a sandbox for that. So I quickly realized that I need a sandboxing environment for that. So initially, I was working with WebAssembly, but the problem, of course, is that with WebAssembly, you have to pretty much compile every program you have into WebAssembly, and that's not feasible. So I had to start thinking outside WebAssembly, and that's when I learned about microVMs. So these are virtual machines, but lightweight virtual machines, and they are Linux VMs, and they are quick to start, quick to boot, and it pretty almost like like Docker containers, right?
Exactly.
But
Yes.
yeah, micro VM is just more secure because it uses hardware level isolation. Um,
Okay.
and yeah, so that's how I got into micro VMs, and I started working on one and specifically designed to work with AI agents. Like you can use AI agents to spawn these micro VMs and just do whatever you want inside the micro VMs. And yeah, that's what led to Micro Sandbox. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
Presenting a demo of Microsandbox. So Microsandbox is a tool for starting and managing lightweight virtual machines. You can imagine Microsandbox as Docker, but for micro VMs, for lightweight VMs. The cool thing about micro VMs is um, it's way more secure than containers, and containers do have their limitations. I'm not going to be listing them now, but micro VMs just um, improves on the security guarantees of a sandbox environment. The interesting thing here is that micro sandbox is trying to make creating these micro VMs very easy, make it feel very familiar, just like you're using Docker. Huge disclaimer, by the way. Micro Sandbox is still very, very early. So that said, let's get into it. So the first thing you have to do is to install Microsandbox. If you have an Apple Silicon machine, it should just work. And on Linux, we also support Linux. If you have an ARM64 CPU or you have uh, x86 CPU, you should be fine as well, as long as KVM is enabled. Yeah, so now we have installed Microsandbox, and if you look at the help, you will see that there are some ideas from Docker. It does not map, like the APIs are not the same, but you get the gist. You can run sandboxes. So one thing about Microsandbox is that we try to make it feel very familiar to developers. You can imagine it as it goes beyond just Docker, right? And it tries to be a project-based tool as well. So you can imagine it as npm for the Node.js ecosystem or Cargo for um, the Rust ecosystem. Microsandbox is for the microVM ecosystem. So you can actually create projects. You can, for example, like an MSB init, right? And this will initialize and create a sandbox file, right? And a .mem. You can imagine this .mem as like node modules or something. So or target folder in Rust project. So if you look at sandbox file now, it contains 0 sandboxes, right? So it's a YAML configuration file. And this sandbox file, you can imagine it as cargo.toml, you can imagine it as project.toml in Python, you can imagine it as package.json in Node.js. So you can work as if you can work at the project level. That's what we're saying. And you can create multiple sandboxes for that particular project. Yeah, so let's try one. Let's try and add a sandbox into our project. So there's this one. So this basically has an LO sandbox with the image Python. So we're using image. So this Python is actually an image reference, and it's referring to an image, for example, on Docker. And then you specify the number of CPUs you want it to be you want it to have access to, and the memory as well. So this memory is in megabytes. And yeah, you have a start script. So one thing about Microsandbox is that you can specify like what you want it to start with, and when you run the sandbox, like hello, it's going to fetch the details first. So this is probably, it's going to fetch like the Python image, and after that it's going to try and extract them, and after that we should get like this hello printed out. Okay, so anytime now. Yeah, so we get this hello printed out. Another example we can try is the bash image. So let's try that. So this is going to fetch the bash image as well, and then it's going to run this command here. And yeah, as you can see, this one is pretty fast. There's just 3 layers. So we'll just keep printing until we stop it. And you can stop it with Ctrl+C. You might wonder like, where am I hiding this timer and this hello world? actually adding it to this sandbox file. So you can always, you know, print the sandbox file and see what's in there. We've added this hello and timer sandboxes. Another thing you can do is you can run it in detached mode. My bad. So which means this is running in the background, and there's a way for you to actually see what's running in the background. So you can just do MSB status, and you can see um, the sandbox is running, right? The timer is still running. The hello has stopped. So you can follow like what's going on, and you can see what the timer sandbox is doing. You can stop the timer sandbox. So right now it's down. We don't have a stop yet, and this stops the sandbox. So if we do MSB status, we get both of them stopped, right? But that's not just everything. You can also use, you know, for example, you can use it very similarly as Docker. The APIs are kind of different, but yeah, you can use it like Docker. So let me see Ubuntu. So I can pull the Ubuntu image, I can pull Debian, I can pull Alpine, whatever, Fedora. And yeah, so now that is pulled, when I try to pull it again, it's already cached. There's a way for you to clean the cache, dash user, and this removes everything, by the way. So one other thing that I like doing is creating temporary sandboxes that get cleaned up when you're done. So we use exec command for that. So I'm going to create this Alpine image temporary sandbox. You can see there's no name, there's no sandbox name, it's just the image. So you can specify the image flag, or you can just remove it. So let's run that, and you can do whatever in there, and this does not affect your project, your local project. It gets created in a temporary directory and to get discarded when you're done, right? So yeah, does not affect this. Yeah, so you can see we still just have like the timer and the hello, right? That's one way of doing things. You can also, maybe you use Alpine all the time. You can actually install Alpine, right? This becomes this is the image name, and it's also like the name, the alias that you use to access this Alpine stuff. And when you do that, you'll be able to run Alpine and have access to that sandbox every single time. When you're done with the sandbox, you can always uninstall it, right? And it's now gone. There are shortcuts for these commands, like the msb.exe. You can actually use msx Alpine, and it just works, right? And for the install one as well, you can just do msi. Oh, I have an example here. But yeah, so instead of like msb install, you can just use msi, right? And that will install it, and you can just always have access to the Alpine sandbox. So yeah, that's it for like using things from the command line.
Okay, so Micro Sandbox was actually trending in the top 5 of Y Combinator Hacker News. How did it feel like when you found out?
Well, so I've okay, it's not like an overnight thing because I actually tried to get it to trend on Akanis the first time, the second
Okay.
time. I was using a part. I thought the titles that I put made sense, but they weren't trending. I knew like this thing is has like potential to trend because people actually have these problems. So I tried one last time, and this time I was like, you know what? I'm just going to ask ChatGPT when the US developers are going to be most active on Arcanews, and because you have to know like who you're trying to um, send this message, like
Yes.
promote, right? And I did that, and in addition to that, I was looking through like, is there any similar thing that has trended in the past? And then I found one, kata containers, right? And kata containers is very similar technologies using Firecracker. We were using like Keyron. And
Hmm.
I just took their title. I put Microsandbox instead of kata containers. And
Wow.
I said it at the exact time when ChatGPT told me to do so. And yeah, it worked out fine. And that
Interesting. Interesting. Yeah, I can see that so many people are going to steal this strategy. Awesome. So, I mean, you've already talked about the technology behind Micro Sandbox and how what sets it apart, but could you explain more in detail what really sets Micro Sandbox apart from existing tools like Docker?
okay. So the thing about Docker is that, or containers in general, because Docker is just one of the technology that one
Yes.
of like that uses container. So the thing about containers is that they share the kernel with the underlying hosts, right? So they have the same. So your containers are running on the same kernel. On the other hand, microVMs or VMs in general, they actually use their own guest kernel. So the host kernel is different from the guest kernel, and these are separated by hardware level virtualization boundaries. And what this means is that you have better security guarantees than just having because the thing about sharing a kernel with the host is that there can be all kinds of, and there are so many vulnerabilities related to this. And the fact is that your app is not completely, you know, run anywhere because it's very dependent on the host kernel that you're running on. So it might run here, it might run on your machine and not run in production actually. But that's usually less the case, but it can happen. With micro VMs, because you ship your own guest kernel, it means that you're recreating the entire environment all by yourself for your application. And yeah, in general, it just leads to better security guarantee than uh, containers in general. Yeah. So
Awesome.
the idea with Microsoft Sandbox was to create something like Docker, but for micro VMs containers. Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. So how long did it take to go from idea to implementation?
Well, it took quite a very long time. So I started this project back in October. Initially, it was just I was able to create the prototype very fast. But then after creating the prototype, the next part is actually making it more robust. And so that took me like since December to May when I uh, released it to the public. So
Hmm.
that was so, and it's still
Okay.
not done. There's too much work on it. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, but do you see it's evolving into a production ready tool for startups or enterprise use?
Yeah, absolutely. So the
Right.
plan is to we're using it in Zerocore AI. It's
Okay.
not production ready, but the plan is to keep working on it because I actually need it for my own products as well. And yeah, it, I have to just make it production ready at some point.
Okay. We're looking forward to it.
Yeah,
So
thank
you are also, yeah, you're also the founder of Zerocore AI. Could you tell us more about it and what you're building?
Okay, so Zero Core AI is a company focused on AI agents, AI in general. But for now, it's just about creating AI agents that um, is actually reliable. You know, one of like the current product that we're working on is making it easy for you to create AI agents, which is with natural language,
Hmm.
instead of like having to write Python code using Havno or all these other agent libraries or Creo AI and stuff like that. Just like type in like the exact agents that you want. I want this kind of agents that can, generate leads and stuff. And it's going to create the AI agent for you that deploys on our own cloud. Or you can even self-host by yourself. Yeah. So that's zero core AI in a nutshell.
Okay. Okay. So in a space dominated by Python, why did you choose Rust for AI? You know.
Well, let me just say convenience. um,
Hmm.
I I like yeah, I like Rust so much. I used to be a fanboy of Python, but
Okay.
Python is a second spot for me. Like I said already, like having that confidence that your application is going to run in production without much of an issue. Apart from like, you know, there are always bugs that you fix, right? But the time. So the reason why I would say the reason why I still like I use Rust for pretty much everything except like the front end, which I don't have any other option, is because I just want like a seamless experience. And being like a solo founder right now, me working on the project alone, I just want something that I can understand. I can jump into any part of what I'm working on and just understand very easily. Um,
Hmm.
Python does not do that because I have to think about like what does this depend on. I have to sort of think about different dependencies within my program in Python. Um, to be sure that something is not breaking. And whenever I revisit a Python project, I have to like rethink. I have to start thinking about what does this part even do. Um, it's never really. Um, it's always like uh, been a problem for me using Python. So
Hmm.
I just and Rust is actually gaining momentum in the AI space. There's so many libraries now. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Speaking of momentum, how do you see the future of Rust in the AI
Um,
space?
I'm biased, but I think Rust is going to like take over the entire AI space, at least like the low level aspects.
Mm,
For example, so I believe like AI agents need sandboxing, and AI agents, I believe like the future of AI agents, the future belongs to AI agents that can actually use sandboxes very well because they will need an
mm,
environment to um, without having to worry about security. And the sandboxing aspect of the AI stack right now is being dominated by Rust. So we have things like Firecracker written in Rust, we have things like Lightkeron written in Rust, and so many other components are getting written in Rust. So much so that if you're building like a VMM today, um, everyone just expects that VMM is virtual machine manager, by the way. Everyone just expects that it's written in Rust, not Go. It used to be in Go, things like that used to be in Go, but now everybody's like moving towards the safety of Rust because
mhm,
the systems you don't want like seg faults and stuff like that um, in production. Yeah.
mm. Thank you for that. So, do you think that African developers are well positioned to lead in AI infrastructure using Rust, of course.
No. Um, I, I don't like to be the pessimist. I'm actually an optimist. But
Okay.
the way I see things right now, Africa is so way behind. We're so
Okay.
behind. And I mean, we've not created our own like proper large language model. I mean, at the level of like competing levels,
Yes.
as because we've had that from Asia and other places, but we don't have
Mm.
anything in Africa, and that's due to the training costs and don't have a lot of data centers. There's some popping up right now, but compared to what they have in
Mm-hmm.
they're like nowhere. And Rust community is it's actually growing, and I love that, but we're still quite small, and uh, everybody kind of knows each other right now. So
Mm.
um, yeah, so I'm hoping that things will change. Maybe some folks seeing some of these things that you guys are doing would encourage them to actually try and get into Rust, try and get into AI. Um, and we have a lot of young population, so maybe that's a plus. Um, but yeah, we'll see. I don't know. Like, but right now we're way behind. Yeah.
Yeah, we have a lot of work to do, but we can do it. Yes. What legacy do you hope to leave in the Rosasian community?
Hmm. So legacy. Um, I hope they know me by my work. I don't want to be like, oh, this is the kind of legacy I'll leave because I actually don't know. Um, I just hope people in the future will know Steven by what he has done. I really hope that I'm able to make enough impact, especially in open source software. And this is why I try to make every aspect of what I'm building open source as much as I can. Um,
Mm,
yeah, that's just it. Like I hope they um, see my work in open source.
great. Awesome. What do you do to unwind after long coding sessions?
Well, I tend to just ride my bike around. Um, I just cycle around the place I live. Um, what else? And I watch anime, I guess.
Oh, okay. Interesting. Interesting. So, how has the African developer community shaped or supported your journey in Rust?
Yeah, so it has really helped. I think it's very important to have a community to kind of reach out to whenever you're stuck or anything. Um, so one thing that I would say is while trying to race around recently, the interesting thing here is that it's actually my programmer friends who most of them I've not seen face to face that actually contributed to raising the ground. Um, and that just goes to show like the um, brotherhood nature of like the current programming communities. So I'm part of like several groups of like several WhatsApp groups, programming WhatsApp groups, and we've known each other for like several years, and it's just nice to see that we can support each other. Sometimes like when they're having weddings and stuff like that, I go, I visit. We've not seen each other. We've only communicated online, and seeing such communities kind of like make me very proud of like
Mm,
what we're building here, um, because it's not easy to just be an island of your own, just coding
yes.
away and not interacting with the larger community. So yeah, I hope like I want to see more of that. Also just like um, being a king um, in this big massive world of you crazy things happening.
Yes. If your coding journey was a movie, what would it be called?
Hmm. No, that one's hard. Uh, ah, damn. Should I? I think it will be Mission Impossible.
Wow.
Because looking at where, like, I don't like to say, I don't like to say these stories of started from the bottom now we're here, but um, looking from where I come from,
Hmm.
it's kind of very, and looking at a lot of people that we started together, my story is just very different. How I ended up, like how I turned out, because it could have been something worse. So yeah, that's what I would say. Because by the way, I did not study um, coding at school. I did not study like computer science or things like that. I actually studied
Okay.
and studying mass communication. I just hated the course because like the lecturers, the HOD, these people they were just giving up time, and it's not even just them. I kind of was zoning out of like mass communication, and I was more
Okay.
interested in tech type things. I listen to tech news. I watch tech things most of the time. So I was like, I made up my mind right from like 100 level that I was going to do programming as a career. Um, and when I left school, I did not pursue I did not even collect my degree, by the way. So
Wow.
I just went all in. Yeah.
I love the dedication to stick with what you love. I think we should all stick with what we love. Well, thank you so much for sharing your journey, sharing your insights with us. Do you have any final thoughts for the West Africa community?
Yeah, I really love what you guys are doing. I'm. It's nice to see things like this. I think they actually really, really, really do help. In, I feel like the impact this video is going to have is going to be far-reaching. We may not see it right now, may not think too much of it, but it'll be surprising when you start hearing people saying, "Oh, I watched this," and so I
Yeah,
love that because I've been thinking of something similar, and I know I cannot do it. So kudos, guys.
thank you very much. Okay. Thank you, Stephen. You're doing truly exciting work at the intersection of Rust and AI, and we can't wait to see what's next. Thank
Yeah,
you.
thank
To our listeners, thank you for tuning in. Until next time, stay curious, keep building, and keep pushing boundaries with Rust. Bye. Okay. So, thank you so much.